Maya Chen
Come
had
on, you
always
got
been
this.
different from her
Keep pushing,
classmates at
team. Feel
Riverside
that
High
burn.
School.
Almost
While
there.
other students spent their evenings scrolling through social media or hanging out at the mall, she could be found in the school's old computer lab, her fingers dancing across the keyboard as lines of code appeared on the screen. Her thick glasses reflected the glow of the monitor as she worked late into the evening, long after the janitor had made his rounds. The other students didn't understand her passion for programming. To them, she was just the quiet girl who sat alone at lunch, always buried in technical manuals or coding books. Her clothes were simple and practical, never following the latest fashion trends that seemed so important to everyone else. Her backpack was always heavy with computer science textbooks and notebooks filled with her own handwritten algorithms. "Look at Maya, still playing with her computer games," Jessica would sneer as she walked past Maya's desk during computer class. Jessica was everything Maya wasn't: popular, fashionable, and surrounded by friends who hung on her every word. What a waste of time. She should be learning something useful instead of pretending to be some kind of tech genius. The laughter that followed Jessica's comments always stung, but Maya had learned to keep her eyes focused on her screen. She knew that what she was doing wasn't just playing games or wasting time. She was building something meaningful, something that could make a difference. But explaining that to her classmates felt impossible when they had already decided she was just the weird girl who preferred computers to people. Rodriguez, the computer science teacher, was one of the few people who recognized Maya's exceptional talent. He had been teaching for over 20 years and had never encountered a student with such natural ability and dedication to programming. While other students struggled with basic concepts, Maya was already creating complex applications that even surprised him. "Maya, have you considered applying for the National Youth Technology Competition?" Mr. Rodriguez asked one afternoon as Maya was working on a new project. "I think you have real potential to compete at the highest level." Maya looked up from her screen, pushing her glasses up her nose. "Do you really think I'm good enough? I mean, I know I love programming, but I'm just a high school student from a small town. The competition probably has students from fancy private schools with much better resources. Talent isn't about having the fanciest equipment or the most expensive education," Rodriguez replied with a gentle smile. "It's about passion, creativity, and the willingness to never give up. You have all of those qualities in abundance." Despite her teacher's encouragement, Maya couldn't shake the doubt that had been planted by years of dismissive comments from her peers. She had heard the whispers in the hallways, the jokes about how she would never amount to anything because she was too focused on useless technology skills instead of real subjects like business or medicine. Her family situation didn't make things easier. Maya's parents owned a small grocery store in their modest neighborhood, and while they loved their daughter dearly, they didn't fully understand her passion for programming. Her mother often worried that Maya was spending too much time alone with her computer instead of developing social skills that would help her in the real world. "Maya, sweetheart, maybe you should join some clubs or make more friends," her mother would say gently while they ate dinner together. "Programming is fine as a hobby, but you need to think about practical career options. Maybe you could study accounting or nursing. Something stable that will always have jobs available." Maya would nod politely, but inside her heart would sink a little more each time. Even the people who loved her most didn't believe in her dreams. She began to wonder if everyone else was right, if she was just fooling herself about having any real talent or potential for success in the technology field. The turning point came during a particularly difficult week in her senior year. Maya had been working on a mobile application designed to help small businesses manage their inventory more efficiently. She had spent months perfecting the code, testing different features, and creating a user-friendly interface that even non-technical people could navigate easily. Excited about her progress, Maya decided to present her application during the monthly Student Innovation Showcase that the school held in the auditorium. She had never participated before, but Mr. Rodriguez had been encouraging her to share her work with a broader audience. As Maya stood on the stage, her laptop connected to the projector, she could see the skeptical faces in the audience. Most of her classmates were there because attendance was mandatory for computer science students, not because they were genuinely interested in what she had to say. Hi everyone," Maya began nervously, her voice barely audible over the microphone. "I want to show you an application I've been developing that could help local businesses manage their inventory more effectively." Before she could even begin her demonstration, snickering started from the back of the auditorium. "Oh great, Maya's going to bore us with more computer stuff," someone whispered loudly enough for others to hear. Maya's cheeks burned with embarrassment, but she pressed on, determined to show her work despite the hostile audience. She demonstrated how her application could track products, predict demand patterns, and generate reports that would help business owners make better decisions about their inventory purchases. This could save small businesses thousands of dollars each year by reducing waste and preventing stockouts, Maya explained, her confidence growing as she focused on her presentation rather than the audience's reactions. But when she finished and asked for questions, the response was even worse than the snickering. Jessica raised her hand with a smirk on her face. "Maya, this is all very impressive, I'm sure, but let's be honest. Do you really think anyone would actually use something created by a high school student? Real businesses have professional software companies to handle this kind of thing. This seems like a cute little project, but it's not exactly practical for the real world." The laughter that erupted from the audience was devastating. Maya felt her face flush with humiliation as students whispered among themselves about how she was just a dreamer who didn't understand how business actually worked. Even some of the teachers in attendance seemed to nod in agreement with Jessica's assessment. "You're right that professional companies create business software," Maya replied quietly, trying to maintain her composure. "But many small businesses can't afford those expensive solutions. My application is designed to be accessible and affordable for businesses that are just starting out or operating on tight budgets." "That's sweet, Maya, but you're not exactly a business expert," another student chimed in. "Maybe you should stick to what you know instead of trying to solve problems you don't really understand." As Maya packed up her laptop and left the stage, the weight of their words settled heavily on her shoulders. Maybe they were right. Maybe she was just a naive teenager who didn't understand the complexities of the real world. Maybe her dreams of making a difference through technology were just foolish fantasies. That night, Maya sat in her bedroom staring at her computer screen, but for the first time in years, she couldn't bring herself to write a single line of code. The application she had been so proud of suddenly seemed amateurish and pointless. Who was she to think that she could create something meaningful when she was just a small-town girl with big dreams and no real experience? Her phone buzzed with a text message from Mr. Rodriguez. "Don't let them discourage you, Maya. What you've created is remarkable, and I believe it has real potential. Please don't give up on your dreams because of a few narrow-minded comments." Maya appreciated her teacher's support, but the damage had been done. The constant mockery and dismissal from her peers had finally broken through her defenses. She began to question everything she had believed about her abilities and her future in technology. Over the following weeks, Maya's enthusiasm for programming began to wane. She still attended her computer science classes, but the spark that had once driven her to stay late in the lab had dimmed considerably. She started spending more time on traditional academic subjects, thinking that maybe she should pursue a more conventional career path that would meet with everyone's approval. Her grades in other subjects were decent, but Maya felt like she was living someone else's life. Every time she walked past the computer lab and saw other students working on basic assignments that she could complete in minutes, she felt a pang of loss for the passion that had once defined her. The mockery from her classmates continued, but now it took on a different tone. Instead of making fun of her for being too focused on programming, they began to tease her for finally coming to her senses and abandoning her silly computer obsession. "I'm glad to see Maya is finally being realistic about her future," Jessica commented during lunch one day, speaking loudly enough for Maya to overhear from the next table. It was getting embarrassing watching her pretend to be some kind of tech prodigy when everyone knew she was just fooling herself. Maya's best friend Sarah, who had always been supportive but quiet about Maya's programming interests, finally spoke up. "Maybe they're right, Maya. I mean, I've always thought your programming stuff was cool, but perhaps it's time to focus on something more practical. You're smart enough to succeed in any field you choose." Even Sarah's well-intentioned advice felt like another nail in the coffin of Maya's dreams. If her closest friend thought she should abandon programming, maybe everyone really was right about her lack of realistic career prospects in technology. As her senior year continued, Maya found herself going through the motions of school without the passion that had once driven her. She applied to colleges with strong liberal arts programs, thinking that she would major in business or communications, safe choices that would lead to stable, respectable careers that no one could mock or dismiss. But late at night, when she couldn't sleep, Maya would sometimes open her laptop and look at the code she had written for her inventory management application. Despite all the criticism and self-doubt, she couldn't deny that she was proud of what she had created. The logic was sound, the interface was intuitive, and she knew it could genuinely help small businesses if given the chance. Mr. Kurtok. Rodriguez hadn't given up on encouraging Maya, even though she had become less enthusiastic about programming. He continued to provide her with challenging projects and opportunities to showcase her skills, hoping to rekindle the passion he knew was still buried beneath her damaged confidence. "Maya, I've entered you in the state programming competition," he announced one day after class. "I know you've been focused on other subjects lately, but I think this could be a good opportunity for you to remember why you loved programming in the first place." Maya's initial reaction was panic. "Rodriguez, I don't think that's a good idea. I haven't been practicing as much lately, and the other competitors will probably be much more advanced than I am. I don't want to embarrass myself or the school. You're one of the most talented programmers I've ever taught," he replied firmly. "One bad presentation doesn't erase years of exceptional work. I believe in your abilities, even if you're having trouble believing in them yourself right now." Reluctantly, Maya agreed to participate in the competition, though she spent the weeks leading up to it convinced that she would fail spectacularly and confirm everyone's beliefs about her limitations. She practiced half-heartedly, her confidence so shaken that she second-guessed every decision and algorithm she implemented. The day of the competition arrived faster than Maya had expected, and as she sat in the computer lab at the state university, surrounded by confident-looking students from schools across the region, she felt more out of place than ever. Many of the other competitors were clearly from well-funded programs with state-of-the-art equipment and experienced coaching staff. "Great," Maya thought to herself as she looked around the room. "These students probably have access to resources I can't even imagine, and here I am from Little Riverside High School thinking I can compete with them." The competition format was challenging. Students had 4 hours to solve a complex programming problem that required both technical skill and creative thinking. As Maya read the problem description, however, something unexpected happened. For the first time in months, she felt a familiar spark of excitement as her mind began to work through the logical challenges presented by the task. Despite her damaged confidence and months of reduced practice, Maya's natural talent and years of dedicated study began to resurface. Her fingers found their rhythm on the keyboard, and lines of elegant, efficient code began to appear on her screen. She lost herself in the problem-solving process, forgetting about her self-doubt and the voices of her critics. When time was called, Maya felt simultaneously exhausted and exhilarated. She had created a solution she was genuinely proud of, regardless of how it compared to the other competitors' work. For a brief moment, she remembered why she had fallen in love with programming in the first place: the satisfaction of building something from nothing, of solving complex puzzles through logic and creativity. 3 days after the state programming competition, Maya had almost forgotten about the event entirely. She had returned to her routine of attending classes without enthusiasm, focusing on her college applications for business programs, and trying to ignore the lingering whispers from classmates who had heard about her participation in the competition. "I heard Maya embarrassed herself at some programming contest," she overheard Brad telling his friends during lunch. "I'm not surprised. She always acts like she's some kind of computer genius, but everyone knows she's just average at best." Maya kept her head down and continued eating her sandwich, determined not to let their comments affect her. She had participated in the competition primarily to satisfy Mr. Rodriguez, and now she could put programming competitions behind her and focus on more realistic career goals. That afternoon, as Maya was gathering her books from her locker, she heard her name being called over the school's intercom system. "Maya Chen, please report to the principal's office immediately." Maya Chen to the principal's office. Her heart sank as she walked through the hallways toward the administrative wing of the school. Being called to the principal's office was never a good sign, and Maya couldn't think of anything she had done wrong recently. Maybe there was an issue with her college applications, or perhaps her parents needed to discuss something important with the school administration. As she knocked on Principal Williams' office door, Maya tried to prepare herself for whatever bad news was waiting for her. Principal Williams was known for being strict but fair, and Maya had never had any serious trouble with school authorities before. "Come in, Maya," Principal Williams called from behind the door. When Maya entered the office, she was surprised to see not only the principal, but also Mr. Rodriguez, her parents, and several other adults she didn't recognize, all wearing broad smiles. "Maya, please sit down," Principal Williams said, gesturing to a chair in the center of the room. "We have some rather extraordinary news to share with you." Maya sat down nervously, still confused about why so many people were gathered in the office and why everyone looked so pleased. Her parents were beaming with pride, which was unusual since they typically looked worried whenever they were called to the school. Mr. Boston Rodriguez stepped forward, holding what appeared to be an official document. "Maya, do you remember the state programming competition you participated in last week?" "Yes, sir," Maya replied quietly. "I tried my best, but I'm sure the other students were much better prepared than I was." "Actually," Mr. Rodriguez continued, his smile growing even wider, "that's not exactly how things turned out. Maya, you didn't just do well in the competition, you won first place. Out of over 300 students from across the state, your solution was judged to be the most innovative, efficient, and elegantly designed." Maya stared at him in disbelief. "That can't be right. There must be some mistake. I'm just a student from a small town with limited resources. The other competitors came from much better programs than ours." One of the adults Maya didn't recognize stepped forward and introduced himself. "Maya, my name is Dr. Taxa Peterson, and I'm the director of the state programming competition. I can assure you there's no mistake. Your solution was not only correct, but it demonstrated a level of creative problem solving that impressed all of our judges. You should be very proud of your achievement." Maya's parents looked like they might cry with happiness. Her mother reached over and squeezed her hand gently. "Sweetheart, we always knew you were special, but we didn't realize just how talented you really are. We're so sorry for not understanding your passion for programming better." The news was overwhelming, but Dr. Peterson wasn't finished. "Maya, your victory in the state competition automatically qualifies you for the National Youth Technology Championship, which will be held in 3 months in Washington, D.C. This is one of the most prestigious technology competitions for high school students in the entire country." "The national competition?" Maya repeated, still trying to process everything she was hearing. "Are you sure I'm qualified for something like that? I mean, the national level must have students who are much more experienced than I am." Principal Williams spoke up, looking prouder than Maya had ever seen her. "Maya, you've been underestimating yourself for far too long. This victory proves that your programming skills are exceptional, not just locally but at the state level. We believe you have the potential to compete successfully at the national level as well." Dr. Peterson nodded in agreement. "The national competition will certainly be challenging, but based on your performance at the state level, we believe you have an excellent chance of success. The competition includes students from every state in the country, many of whom have been training for years specifically for this event." As word of Maya's unexpected victory spread throughout Riverside High School, the reaction was mixed. While her teachers and some classmates congratulated her genuinely, others seemed unable to accept that the quiet girl they had dismissed and mocked had achieved something so significant. Jessica was particularly vocal in her skepticism. "I still don't understand how Maya could have won such a big competition," she said loudly in the hallway, making sure Maya could hear her comments. "There must have been some kind of mistake, or maybe the competition wasn't as important as people are making it seem." But this time, Maya's response was different. Instead of feeling hurt and defensive, she felt a quiet confidence beginning to return. The official recognition of her skills from respected judges had started to rebuild the self-belief that months of mockery had eroded. The judges evaluated anonymous submissions, so they had no idea which school or student created each solution. Maya replied calmly. "They judged the work purely on its technical merit and innovation. I understand if that's difficult for you to accept, but the results speak for themselves." Mr. Rodriguez was thrilled to see Maya's confidence beginning to return. He immediately began working with her to prepare for the national competition, creating a training schedule that would help her refine her skills even further, while maintaining her regular academic responsibilities. "Maya, the national competition will be more challenging than anything you faced before," he explained during their first preparation session. "But I've been reviewing the problems from previous years, and I believe your natural problem-solving ability and creative approach to programming give you advantages that can't be taught in traditional classroom settings." The preparation process was intense but exciting. Maya found herself staying after school once again, not because she was hiding from social situations, but because she genuinely loved the challenge of tackling complex programming problems. Her passion for coding, which had been dormant for months, came roaring back to life. As news of Maya's state championship victory spread beyond the school, local media outlets began to take notice. The town newspaper ran a front-page story about the local programming prodigy, and Maya was invited to appear on a regional television program that highlighted exceptional students from the area. During her television interview, Maya was asked about her experience being underestimated by her peers. "I think a lot of people assumed that because I was quiet and focused on programming instead of more traditional activities, I wasn't capable of achieving significant success," she said thoughtfully. "But I've learned that other people's opinions about your potential don't determine what you can actually accomplish." The interviewer was impressed by Maya's maturity and articulate responses. What advice would you give to other young people who feel like their interests or talents aren't appreciated by their peers? Maya considered the question carefully before responding. "I would tell them to trust their own instincts about what they're passionate about and what they're good at. It's easy to let other people's doubts become your own doubts, but sometimes the things that make you different are actually your greatest strengths." Back at school, the dynamic around Maya began to shift noticeably. Teachers who had previously seen her as a quiet student with an unusual hobby now recognized her as a genuinely gifted individual with exceptional potential. Some classmates who had participated in the mockery now seemed embarrassed about their previous behavior. Even Jessica, who had been one of Maya's harshest critics, approached her one day with an unexpected request. "Maya, I know we haven't always gotten along, but I'm really struggling with the programming unit in computer science class. Would you be willing to help me understand some of the concepts?" "I promise I'll be respectful." Maya was surprised by the request, but she agreed to help. As she worked with Jessica to explain programming fundamentals, she realized that much of the previous hostility had come from Jessica's own insecurity about subjects she didn't understand or excel at. "I guess I was kind of mean to you because programming always seemed so easy for you and I felt stupid when I couldn't figure it out," Jessica admitted during one of their study sessions. "I'm sorry for the things I said. I can see now that you really are incredibly talented." The apology meant more to Maya than she had expected. While the hurtful comments couldn't be taken back, having her former critic acknowledge her abilities helped to heal some of the wounds that had been inflicted on her confidence. As the weeks passed and Maya's preparation for the national competition intensified, she began to attract attention from unexpected sources. College admissions officers from prestigious universities with strong computer science programs started contacting Riverside High School to inquire about Maya's academic record and future plans. "Maya, I've received calls from Stanford, MIT, Carnegie Mellon, and several other top-tier universities," Principal Williams informed her during a meeting. "They're all very interested in recruiting you for their computer science programs. Some are even offering full scholarships based on your competition performance and academic record." The attention from elite universities was overwhelming but exciting. Maya had never imagined that she would have options to attend the kinds of schools she had only dreamed about. The same programming skills that her classmates had dismissed as useless were now opening doors to opportunities she had never thought possible. Her parents were amazed by the sudden change in Maya's prospects. "Sweetheart, just a few months ago we were worried about your obsession with programming, and now universities are competing to offer you scholarships," her mother said with tears in her eyes. "We should have believed in your dreams from the beginning." Mr. Rodriguez was equally thrilled by the recognition Maya was receiving. "I always knew you had exceptional talent, but even I'm surprised by how quickly the programming community has taken notice of your abilities," he told her. "This is just the beginning, Maya. I believe you're going to accomplish amazing things in the technology field." The transformation in how Maya was perceived by her community was remarkable. The local business owners who had once seen her as just another teenager now spoke respectfully about the young programming genius who had put their small town on the map. Some even approached her about potentially developing software solutions for their businesses. But perhaps the most meaningful change was in Maya's own self-perception. The months of doubt and damaged confidence were gradually being replaced by a realistic understanding of her abilities and potential. She was still humble and hardworking, but she no longer questioned whether her skills were valuable or whether her dreams were realistic. As the date for the national competition approached, Maya felt a mixture of nervousness and excitement. She knew the competition would be fierce, with students from across the country who had been preparing for this opportunity for years. But she also knew that her unique approach to problem-solving and her natural programming instincts gave her a legitimate chance to succeed. The night before leaving for Washington, D.C., Maya sat in her bedroom looking at the inventory management application she had created months earlier. The same program that had been dismissed by her classmates as impractical and amateurish now seemed like the foundation of something much larger and more meaningful. Maybe they were wrong about more than just my programming abilities, Maya thought to herself. Maybe my ideas about helping small businesses aren't so unrealistic after all. As she packed her bags for the trip to the national competition, Maya felt a sense of anticipation unlike anything she had experienced before. Win or lose, she knew that participating in the national championship would be an incredible learning experience and an opportunity to meet other young programmers who shared her passion. But more importantly, Maya had rediscovered her confidence and her belief in the value of her own unique talents and perspectives. The girl who had once been mocked as useless and unrealistic was about to compete on one of the biggest stages in youth technology competition, and regardless of the outcome, she knew she belonged there. The Grand Washington Convention Center buzzed with nervous energy as over 500 of the nation's most talented young programmers gathered for the National Youth Technology Championship. Maya stood in the massive registration hall, clutching her participant badge and trying to process the scale of the event she was about to compete in. Students from every state filled the space, many wearing team shirts from prestigious private schools and specialized technology academies. Some groups huddled around laptops, frantically reviewing algorithms and discussing strategy, while others appeared remarkably calm and confident, clearly veterans of national-level competitions. Maya Chen, representing Riverside High School from the great state of Ohio, the registration volunteer announced cheerfully as she handed over Maya's competition materials. "Good luck tomorrow. We're excited to see what you can do." Maya thanked the volunteer and made her way toward the orientation session, feeling somewhat overwhelmed by the professional atmosphere surrounding the event. Corporate sponsors had set up elaborate booths throughout the convention center. Representatives from major technology companies mingled with participants, and local news crews interviewed some of the more well-known competitors. During the orientation session, Maya learned about the competition format and rules. Unlike the state competition, which had been a single 4-hour programming challenge, the national championship would span 3 days and include multiple rounds designed to test different aspects of technological skill and innovation. The first round would be a traditional programming competition, similar to what Maya had experienced at the state level. The second round would require teams to collaborate on developing a prototype solution to a real-world problem. The final round would involve individual presentations where participants would propose and defend innovative technology solutions to a panel of judges from major technology corporations. This year's competition theme is Technology for Social Impact, announced Dr. Williams, the competition director. "We want to see how you can use your programming skills and creative thinking to address meaningful challenges facing our communities and society." As Maya listened to the competition overview, she felt a familiar spark of excitement. The focus on social impact aligned perfectly with her own interests and the inventory management application she had developed for small businesses. Perhaps her practical, real-world approach to programming would be an advantage rather than a limitation in this environment. That evening, participants were invited to a welcome reception where they could meet fellow competitors and network with industry professionals. Maya initially felt intimidated by the social aspects of the event, but she quickly discovered that many of her fellow competitors shared similar interests and experiences. "You're from Ohio, right?" asked a friendly girl about Maya's age, extending her hand in greeting. "I'm Sarah Kim from California. I saw your name on the participant list, and I looked up your state competition solution online. Really impressive work." Maya was surprised to learn that other competitors had researched each other's previous work.
Thank you.
"I'm still getting used to the idea that people outside my hometown even know who I am. This is all pretty overwhelming." "I know exactly what you mean," Sarah replied with an understanding smile. "I come from a small town too, and when I first started competing in these events, I felt completely out of place, but you'll discover that most of us are here because we're genuinely passionate about using technology to solve problems, not because we want to show off or prove we're better than everyone else. As the evening progressed, Maya found herself engaged in fascinating conversations with young programmers from across the country. Despite their diverse backgrounds and varying levels of experience, they all shared a common enthusiasm for technology and its potential to make positive changes in the world. She met Marcus from Detroit, who had developed an application to help students in underfunded schools access educational resources. Jessica from Texas had created a platform to connect elderly people with volunteer companions. David from Vermont had built a system to help small farmers optimize their crop planning and resource allocation. It's amazing how we're all using similar technical skills to address completely different problems, Maya observed during a conversation with several of her new acquaintances. I was worried that my focus on small business solutions might seem less impressive than some of the more high-tech projects, but everyone here seems to value practical applications. That's exactly what makes these competitions so valuable, Marcus replied thoughtfully. We get to see how the same programming concepts can be applied in countless different ways to help real people with real challenges. The first day of competition arrived with nervous anticipation filling the air. Maya had barely slept the night before, not because she was anxious about the technical challenges, but because she was excited to test her skills against such accomplished competitors in a supportive, collaborative environment. The programming challenge was more complex than anything Maya had encountered before. Participants had 6 hours to develop a solution that would optimize resource allocation for a fictional nonprofit organization managing multiple community programs with limited funding and volunteers. As Maya read through the problem description, her mind immediately began working through the logical challenges involved. The problem required not just technical programming skills, but also an understanding of real-world organizational constraints and the ability to create solutions that would be practical for non-technical users. She spent the first hour carefully analyzing the problem requirements and designing her approach before writing a single line of code. Many of her competitors had started programming immediately, but Maya had learned from experience that thorough planning prevented costly mistakes later in the development process. When she finally began coding, Maya fell into the focused state that had always been her greatest strength. Her fingers moved confidently across the keyboard as she built a solution that was both technically sophisticated and elegantly simple. She incorporated user-friendly interfaces, comprehensive error handling, and detailed documentation that would help real users understand and utilize the system effectively. As the final hour approached, Maya was putting the finishing touches on her solution when she noticed that several other competitors appeared to be struggling with bugs or incomplete implementations. She briefly considered offering assistance, then realized that this was still a competition and helping others could potentially hurt her own chances of success. However, when she overheard a competitor from Montana expressing frustration about a particularly challenging algorithm, Maya couldn't resist offering a subtle suggestion that might help him resolve the issue. Have you considered using a priority queue for that part of the problem? Sometimes the built-in data structures can simplify things significantly. The suggestion was enough to help the struggling student overcome his obstacle, and he thanked Maya gratefully before returning to his work. Several other competitors noticed Maya's willingness to help, and she began to develop a reputation for being both skilled and generous with her knowledge. When time was called, Maya submitted her solution with confidence. She had created a comprehensive system that addressed all the requirements of the problem while maintaining the kind of practical usability that she knew would be important for real-world implementation. The results of the first round were announced that evening during dinner. Maya was thrilled to learn that she had placed third overall, behind 2 students from specialized technology academies who had been training for national competitions since middle school. "Excellent work today, Maya," said Dr. Peterson, who had flown in from Ohio to observe the competition. "Your solution demonstrated exactly the kind of practical innovation that separates good programmers from great ones." More importantly for Maya, several of her fellow competitors congratulated her on both her technical achievement and her willingness to help others during the competition. She was beginning to understand that success in the technology field wasn't just about individual brilliance, but also about collaboration and community support. The second round of competition required participants to form teams and collaborate on developing prototype solutions to community challenges. Maya was invited to join a team with Sarah from California, Marcus from Detroit, and 2 other students she had met during the networking sessions. Their challenge was to develop a technology solution that would help reduce food waste in urban communities while simultaneously addressing food insecurity among low-income families. The team had 24 hours to research the problem, design a solution, build a working prototype, and prepare a presentation for the judges. Maya's teammates quickly discovered that her practical approach to problem-solving was invaluable for this type of collaborative challenge. While others focused on complex technical features, Maya kept the team grounded in real-world considerations about user needs and implementation feasibility. We should remember that the people who would use this system might not be very comfortable with technology, Maya pointed out during their design session. If we make it too complicated, it won't matter how innovative our algorithms are. Nobody will actually use it. The team developed a mobile application that would connect restaurants and grocery stores with surplus food to local food banks and community organizations. The system included features for scheduling pickups, tracking food safety requirements, and providing tax documentation for businesses donating food. Maya took responsibility for developing the user interface and ensuring that the system would be accessible to users with varying levels of technical experience. Her teammates were impressed by her ability to create intuitive designs that made complex functionality appear simple and straightforward. "Maya, your interface designs are incredible," Sarah commented as they worked through the night to complete their prototype. "You have a real talent for understanding what users need and translating that into clean, functional design." During their presentation to the judges, Maya's practical perspective shone through as she explained how their solution addressed real barriers that prevented food donation and distribution in urban communities. The judges were impressed not only by the technical quality of their prototype, but also by the team's thorough understanding of the social and logistical challenges their solution was designed to address. "Your team has done an excellent job of balancing technical innovation with practical usability," commented one of the judges, a senior engineer from a major technology corporation. "This is exactly the kind of thinking that leads to successful technology implementations in the real world." Maya's team placed second in the collaborative round, which was a remarkable achievement considering that many of the competing teams included students who had been working together for months or years in established programs. The final round of competition would be individual presentations where each participant would propose an original technology solution and defend their idea in front of a panel of industry experts. Participants had been given the presentation requirements weeks in advance and were expected to come prepared with detailed proposals. Maya had decided to present her inventory management application for small businesses, but she had spent weeks refining and expanding her original concept based on everything she had learned during the competition. Her presentation would demonstrate not just the technical aspects of her solution, but also the market research she had conducted and the real-world testing she had performed with local businesses. As she prepared for her presentation, Maya reflected on how much her confidence and perspective had changed since the beginning of her senior year. The girl who had once been devastated by her classmates' mockery was now preparing to present her ideas to some of the most influential people in the technology industry. The night before the final presentations, Maya received an unexpected phone call in her hotel room. The caller identified himself as a representative from the National Science Foundation, and he explained that her performance in the competition had attracted attention from federal agencies interested in supporting young innovators. "Maya, we've been following your work throughout this competition, and we're very impressed by your practical approach to technology development," the representative explained. "We'd like to discuss some opportunities that might be available to support your continued work in this area." The call was brief but encouraging, and Maya went to sleep that night feeling more confident than ever about her future in technology. Regardless of how the final presentations went, she knew that her participation in the national competition had already opened doors and created opportunities she never could have imagined. The morning of the final presentations arrived with a mixture of excitement and nervous energy throughout the convention center. Maya was scheduled to present in the afternoon session, which gave her time to watch some of the other presentations and get a feel for the judges' questions and expectations. The presentations she observed were impressive and diverse, ranging from artificial intelligence applications to biotechnology innovations to environmental monitoring systems. Each presenter demonstrated deep technical knowledge and genuine passion for their chosen area of focus. When Maya's time arrived, she walked to the front of the presentation room with calm confidence. The panel of judges included representatives from major technology corporations, university computer science departments, and government agencies focused on technology innovation. "Good afternoon," Maya began, her voice clear and steady. "My name is Maya Chen, and I want to talk to you today about how technology can empower small businesses to compete more effectively in an increasingly complex marketplace." As she launched into her presentation, describing the challenges facing small business owners and demonstrating how her inventory management solution addressed those challenges, Maya felt completely in her element. This was no longer about proving herself to skeptical classmates or overcoming self-doubt. This was about sharing her passion for using technology to solve real problems that affected real people. Maya's presentation to the panel of judges was met with enthusiastic questions and genuine interest in her inventory management solution. The judges were particularly impressed by her thorough understanding of small business challenges and her ability to create technology that was both sophisticated and accessible to non-technical users. "Chen, your practical approach to solving real-world problems is exactly what the technology industry needs more of," commented Dr. Martinez, a judge from Stanford University. "Have you considered the scalability potential of your solution? And what kind of support would you need to bring this to a broader market?" Maya answered confidently, explaining the research she had conducted on market demand and the business model she had developed for making her solution sustainable and affordable for small businesses across different industries. The judges were impressed by her comprehensive thinking and business acumen in addition to her technical skills. When the final presentations concluded, all participants gathered in the main auditorium for the closing ceremony and awards presentation. Maya sat with her new friends from the competition, feeling grateful for the experience regardless of the final results. The relationships she had built and the confidence she had gained were more valuable than any trophy or recognition. "Ladies and gentlemen, this year's National Youth Technology Championship has showcased some of the most promising young innovators in our country," announced Dr. P. Williams as the ceremony began. "These students represent the future of American technology leadership, and their work demonstrates the incredible potential of combining technical skill with social consciousness." The awards began with recognition for various categories of achievement, including collaboration, innovation, and technical excellence. Maya was thrilled when her team received second place in the collaborative round, and she applauded enthusiastically as her fellow competitors were recognized for their outstanding work. Now, for the overall championship award, Dr. Williams continued, "This year's winner demonstrated exceptional technical ability, practical thinking, and a genuine commitment to using technology for positive social impact. The 22-6 National Youth Technology Champion is Maya Chen from Riverside High School in Ohio." Maya sat frozen in her seat for a moment, unable to process what she had just heard. The applause around her seemed distant and unreal as her fellow competitors congratulated her and encouraged her to go to the stage. Sarah squeezed her hand and whispered, "You deserve this, Maya. Your work has been incredible throughout the entire competition." As Maya walked to the stage to accept her award, she thought about all the people who had believed in her when she stopped believing in herself. Mr. Rodriguez, who had never given up on encouraging her participation in competitions. Her parents, who had supported her dreams even when they didn't fully understand them. Even the classmates who had initially mocked her but later apologized and asked for her help. "Maya, congratulations on your outstanding achievement," Dr. Williams said as he presented her with the championship trophy. "Your work represents exactly the kind of innovation and social consciousness that will drive technology forward in the coming decades." The trophy was beautiful, but even more meaningful were the opportunities that came with the recognition. Representatives from major technology corporations approached Maya after the ceremony, offering internships, mentorship programs, and potential partnerships for developing her business solution further. However, the most unexpected recognition was yet to come. 3 days after returning home from the competition, Maya received a phone call that would change her life in ways she never could have imagined. "Is this Maya Chen?" asked a professional-sounding voice on the other end of the line. "Yes, this is Maya," she replied, expecting another call from a university admissions office or technology company. "Ms. Chen, this is Jennifer Walsh from the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy." The president has asked me to contact you regarding your recent achievement at the National Youth Technology Championship. Maya almost dropped the phone. I'm sorry, did you say the White House? As in, the President of the United States? Yes, Miss Chen. The president has been following the work of outstanding young innovators like yourself, and he would like to invite you to participate in a special White House ceremony, recognizing the next generation of American technology leaders. Would you be available to visit Washington, D.C. next month for this event? The invitation was surreal and overwhelming. Maya had gone from being mocked as useless by her classmates to receiving recognition from the highest office in the country. She accepted the invitation immediately, though she spent the rest of the day wondering if the phone call had been some kind of elaborate prank. The reality of the situation became clear when official invitations arrived in the mail, along with detailed instructions for the White House visit and information about the other young innovators who would be participating in the ceremony. Maya would be joining a select group of students from across the country who had demonstrated exceptional potential in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. News of Maya's White House invitation spread quickly through Riverside High School and the surrounding community. The local newspaper ran another front-page story, this time with the headline, "Local Programming Prodigy Invited to White House." Television news crews returned to interview Maya about her incredible journey from small-town student to nationally recognized innovator. Maya, how does it feel to go from being underestimated by your peers to receiving recognition from the president? Asked the television reporter during her interview. Maya considered the question carefully before responding. I think the most important lesson I've learned is that other people's opinions about your potential don't determine what you can actually achieve. The skills and interests that made me different from my classmates turned out to be exactly what I needed to succeed in ways I never imagined possible. The reporter was intrigued by Maya's mature perspective. What advice would you give to other young people who feel like their talents aren't appreciated or understood? I would tell them to keep working on what they're passionate about, even when it feels like nobody else believes in them, Maya replied. Find teachers, mentors, or friends who support your interests, and don't let criticism from people who don't understand your goals discourage you from pursuing your dreams. Back at school, the atmosphere around Maya had changed completely. Teachers treated her with newfound respect, and classmates who had once dismissed her work now approached her for advice and assistance with their own projects. Even Jessica had become one of Maya's most supportive advocates, frequently defending Maya's achievements when other students expressed skepticism. I can't believe some people still think Maya just got lucky, Jessica said firmly during a conversation with classmates. She won the state competition, placed first nationally, and got invited to the White House. At some point, you have to admit that she's genuinely exceptional at what she does. Mr. Two Ghouls Rodriguez was practically glowing with pride as he helped Maya prepare for her White House visit. Maya, I've been teaching for over 20 years, and I've never had a student achieve this level of recognition, he told her. But more importantly, you've maintained your humility and your commitment to using technology for positive purposes. That's what makes you truly special. The month leading up to the White House ceremony passed quickly, filled with college visits, scholarship interviews, and media appearances. Maya had been accepted to every university she applied to, with full scholarships offered by several prestigious institutions. The girl who had once worried about her practical career prospects now had more opportunities than she could possibly pursue. But perhaps the most meaningful recognition came from her own community. The small businesses that had once seemed skeptical of her inventory management application now eagerly requested demonstrations and pilot implementations. Maya realized that her original instincts about helping small businesses had been correct. She had identified a genuine need and developed a practical solution. Maya, I want to apologize for not taking your business application seriously when you first showed it to me, said Mrs. Patterson, who owned a local craft store. I thought it was just a student project, but now I can see that you really understood the challenges we face as small business owners. I would love to try using your system in my store. Similar requests came from other local businesses, and Maya began to understand that her championship victory and White House recognition had given her the credibility to actually implement her ideas in the real world. She started planning how she could balance her college studies with continuing to develop and refine her business solution. The day of the White House ceremony arrived, with crisp autumn weather and clear blue skies. Maya traveled to Washington, D.C. with her parents, Mr. Rakuses Daly, Rodriguez, and Principal Williams, all of whom had been invited to attend the ceremony as her guests. The group stayed in a hotel near the White House and spent the evening before the ceremony touring the city and reflecting on Maya's incredible journey. "Sweetheart, I need to apologize again for not understanding your programming passion earlier," Maya's mother said as they walked around the National Mall. "We were so focused on what we thought were practical careers that we almost discouraged you from pursuing your true talents. Mom, you and Dad always supported me, even when you didn't understand what I was doing," Maya replied gently. "The important thing is that you encouraged me to work hard and never give up on my goals, even when other people doubted me." The White House ceremony was held in the East Room, one of the most prestigious spaces in the president's residence. Maya and 19 other outstanding young innovators were seated in the front row, facing an audience of their families, teachers, government officials, and representatives from major technology corporations. When the president entered the room, Maya felt a surreal sense of disbelief that she was actually present for such an historic moment. The same girl who had been told she was wasting her time with useless computer skills was now being honored at the highest levels of government for her technological achievements. "Today, we celebrate the next generation of American innovators," the president began, his voice carrying easily throughout the elegant room. "These remarkable young people represent the creativity, determination, and vision that will drive our nation's continued leadership in science and technology." The president spoke about the importance of supporting young innovators and investing in science and technology education. He emphasized how technological advancement depended not just on technical skills, but also on understanding real-world problems and developing solutions that could make positive differences in people's lives. "One of the students we're honoring today exemplifies this approach perfectly," the president continued, looking directly at Maya. "Maya Chen from Ohio has developed technology solutions that address genuine challenges facing small businesses in communities across America. Her work demonstrates how technical excellence and social consciousness can combine to create meaningful innovation." Maya felt tears welling up in her eyes as the president described her work to the distinguished audience. The recognition was overwhelming, but more importantly, it validated her belief that technology could and should be used to help solve real problems for real people. During the individual recognition ceremony, each student was invited to speak briefly with the president and receive a special commemorative award. When Maya's turn arrived, she walked to the front of the room with calm confidence, no longer the uncertain girl who had been devastated by her classmates' criticism. "Maya, I've been following your work and I'm particularly impressed by your focus on practical applications that can help small businesses succeed," the president said as he shook her hand. "This kind of thinking is exactly what we need to ensure that technological advancement benefits all Americans, not just those in major corporations or wealthy communities." "Thank you, Mr. President," Maya replied. "I believe technology should be accessible and useful for everyone, not just people who work in the tech industry. Small businesses are the backbone of communities like mine, and if technology can help them succeed, then everyone benefits." The president nodded approvingly. "Keep thinking that way, Maya. The country needs more innovators who understand that the best technology solutions are those that solve real problems for real people." As the ceremony concluded and Maya mingled with the other honored students, she reflected on the incredible transformation her life had undergone in less than a year. She had gone from being mocked as unrealistic and useless to being recognized by the President of the United States for her innovative contributions to technology and society. But more importantly, Maya had rediscovered her confidence and her sense of purpose. She understood now that her different perspective and practical approach to problem-solving weren't limitations to overcome, but rather unique strengths that could help her make meaningful contributions to the world. The girl who had once hidden in the computer lab to avoid social ridicule was now planning to start her own technology company while attending college, with the goal of developing software solutions that would help small businesses across the country succeed and thrive. As Maya stood in the White House, surrounded by some of the most accomplished people in American science and technology, she knew with absolute certainty that the best was yet to come. Her journey from mockery to presidential recognition was just the beginning of what she hoped would be a lifetime of using technology to make positive differences in the world. The mockery had stopped long ago, replaced by respect, recognition, and genuine appreciation for her unique talents. But more importantly, Maya had learned to believe in herself and her abilities. Regardless of what others might think or say, that self-confidence and determination would serve her well as she embarked on the next chapter of her remarkable journey as an innovator, entrepreneur, and leader in American technology.